Welcome back to the Academy. Last week, I showed you the diary. One real week at this brokerage, more than 50 AI work sessions, about 190 hours of output running in the background while the actual job got done. And your homework was one sentence. Pick one task you'd normally spend an hour on and hand it to AI. Hold on to what happened when you tried that, because I'm collecting those stories in class. Now, a fair question after a class like the diary is, okay, Mark, that's your week. But how does this thing reach the stuff that matters to my week? My MLS, my Zillow account, my showing schedule, my county records. Today's class answers that question, and the answer is sitting in front of you every single day. Today, we hand the assistant your browser. Here's the problem we're solving, and I want you to feel how big it is. Your assistant is smart, but for most of you, it's been locked out of half your job. Think about where your real work actually lives. The MLS is behind your login. Zillow is behind your login. ShowingTime is behind your login. The county property records, your transaction paperwork, your showing feedback, behind your login, behind your login, behind your login. And for most of those systems, there is no direct connection, no app to plug in, and honestly, there may never be one. So the assistant could write beautifully and think clearly, but it couldn't look anything up where you actually work. You were the courier, copying things out, pasting things in. The browser is the key that unlocks all of it, for one simple reason. Your browser is already signed in as you. Every one of those doors is already open for you. Before we go further, let's get the map straight, because the names confuse everybody. And I'll be honest, they confused me, and I do this every day. There are 3 different ways Claude can touch a screen. Number 1, Claude in Chrome. That's a small extension you add to your Chrome browser. It puts a Claude icon up in the corner, and clicking it opens a side panel next to whatever page you're on. That's the one today's class is about, and it's the only one most of you will ever need. Number 2, Claude's own built-in browser, which lives inside the developer tool called Claude Code. That's a power user tool. We've got a few people in this office headed that direction, and I'll spend one slide on it near the end. Number 3, something called computer use, where Claude can operate regular Windows programs. The whole computer, not just the web. One slide on that too, just so you've heard of it and nobody at a cocktail party knows something you don't. But 90% of today is number 1. If you remember one name from today, remember, the side panel. Now, a confession. Until about a week ago, I called the Chrome extension the dumb one. And here's the thing, I wasn't wrong. Let me give you the picture that finally made this click for me. The extension is a steering wheel. It's a set of hands that can move around any web page. Click the buttons, read the screen, fill in a form, scroll, search. Genuinely capable hands. But hands don't know anything. The brain is whichever Claude session is holding the wheel. When my desktop Claude drives my browser, which it does for me all the time, it's brilliant because my desktop session knows my whole business, my files, my history, how I work. But when you click the little Claude icon in Chrome and typed into that side panel, you got a stranger. It had never met you. No memory of you. No access to your files. No idea what you were working on. And the second you closed the tab, it forgot the entire conversation ever happened. Smart hands, empty head. That was the dumb one. And that is exactly what changed on August 12th, about a week ago, which is why this class exists this week and not 3 months ago. The chat in that side panel is now a full Cowork session. Not a lookalike, not a light version. The same Claude you'd open on your desktop with the same brain. It remembers your conversations from one day to the next. Your skills, the things you've taught Claude about how you work, are right there in the browser. Your connected apps work right there in the browser. And a job you start in the side panel gets saved to your account, which means you can close the tab, walk to a showing, and pick the same conversation up later on your desktop like you never left. The steering wheel finally got a driver who knows you. The dumb one got a brain. So what does that actually mean for you in plain English? For things. First, the assistant in your side panel is the same assistant everywhere else. If you've taught Claude how you like your emails written, the side panel knows it too. Second, when you ask it about the page you're looking at, it doesn't just see the page. It sees the page and knows your business. That combination is the whole ballgame. Third, nothing gets lost. A conversation you start in the browser is saved to your account and can be finished on the desktop or the other way around. And fourth, one honest warning before you go looking for this today. The upgrade is still rolling out to some account types. If you open your side panel this afternoon and it doesn't show Cowork yet, you are not broken and you did not set it up wrong. It's on the way, and everything else we covered today still works right now. Don't let that one screen difference talk you out of the habit. Now the first of 2 rules, and these 2 rules are the entire class, so lean in. Rule 1. Direct connection first, browser second. Some systems already have a direct line to Claude, no browser needed at all. When that direct line exists, use it every time. It's faster, it runs without a browser window open, and it can't misclick, because there's no clicking involved. It's plumbing, not driving. Follow Up Boss has one, and some of you already have it hooked up. Those connections are available for any of you individually. So if you want yours, ask me, and we'll set it up. But, and here's the point, for the systems with no direct line, and that's most of your daily tools, Zillow, the MLS, ShowingTime, the county site, the browser IS the line. There's no other door. So here's the rule in one sentence, and I want you to be able to say it back to me. If it has a connection, use the connection. If it only lives behind your login, open the side panel and do it there. Let me make that concrete with the sites you touched this week. Zillow, looking up a transaction, pulling a report, checking a lead's history, and what they've actually been clicking on, while you sit right there on the page. The MLS, pulling listing history, checking days on market, gathering comps, seeing what's sold over asking and how fast. ShowingTime, reading your week, spotting the gap where a listing appointment could go. The county property appraiser, ownership, taxes, lot lines, all those slow-click government pages you grind through one screen at a time. Your paperwork portals, checking what's been signed and what's still sitting. Here's the thing about every system on this slide. None of them will ever come to Claude on their own. Nobody's building those connections for us. But every single one of them opens for your login. And as of this month, your assistant works behind your login, with you sitting right there watching. Here's the scene I want you to picture, because this is the habit that changes your week. You're working up a listing appointment for Thursday. You've got the MLS open, you're studying the neighborhood, you're forming your opinion of the house. You click the Claude icon, and you say, find me the 3 best comps for this property, pull the full detail on each one, and note anything that's sold over asking in the last 6 months. And then, and this is the magic part, this is the part one need you to actually do, you go back to what you were doing. You keep studying the house. It works while you work. A few minutes later, the research is sitting there waiting for you. You didn't stop to do the research. You didn't lose your train of thought. You delegated the research to an assistant sitting inside your browser, and you kept moving on the thinking only you can do. 2 weeks from now, I want that move to feel as natural as answering a text. That's not science fiction. That's Tuesday. Rule number 2, and I'll tell you right now, this one is the difference between an assistant and a frustration. Tell it where to put the result. Every browser prompt you write should end with a destination. Save it to my Documents folder. Put it in the file for 1208 Maple. Download the PDF and the photos. Here's why this matters so much. An answer that only lives in a side panel conversation is an answer you'll be hunting for on Friday, scrolling back through chats trying to remember where you saw it. A file in a folder is real. A file in a folder can go in the listing package. The file is the handoff. Now, one condition you need to know about, and it's a simple one. For the side panel to save into your computer's folders, the Claude desktop app needs to be open on that computer. That's it. Leave the desktop app open while you work. That's the whole trick, and most of you have it open anyway. And if you forget, no disaster. Plain downloads still land in your regular downloads folder, same as any download, and you can deal with them there. So let's put the 2 rules together, because this is the entire class in 2 sentences. Rule 1. If it has a connection, use the connection, and if it only lives behind your login, open the side panel and do it there. Rule 2. End every browser prompt with where to save the result. That's it. That's the class. Everything else today is just practice and guardrails. I want you to actually write those 2 sentences down, not screenshot them. Write them, because writing is how they stick. And fair warning, next week I'm going to ask you, by name, what you handed your browser. There's homework at the end of this, and it's the easiest homework this academy has ever assigned. Getting set up takes about 3 minutes, and today's handout walks you through every single click, so nobody needs to memorize this. Step 1. Open the Chrome Web Store. That's Chrome's own app store. Search for Claude in Chrome, and click Add to Chrome. It's free, it's official, it's made by Anthropic. Same company, same account. Step 2. Click the little puzzle piece icon at the top right of Chrome, find Claude in the list, and click the pin, so the Claude icon is always sitting one click away in your toolbar. Step 3. Click that icon and sign in with the same Claude account you already use for everything else in this academy. That's the whole setup. From that moment forward, you have an assistant riding along in your browser on every site you visit. And if Cowork hasn't reached your side panel yet, remember the warning from earlier. You can still work with the page you're on today, and the full brain arrives on its own. Nothing for you to install twice. Now, in class today, I'm going to show you this live on Zillow. A real lookup in the side panel, start to finish, no rehearsal. If you're watching this video afterward, here's what I did. I opened a real transaction page. I asked the side panel for the lead's full inquiry history and a summary I could act on. And, rule 2, I told it where to save the summary. It read the page, worked the site the same way you would, and filed the result, while I stood there talking to the room. That's the demonstration, and honestly, the unimpressive parts are the point. No setup, no special page, no magic words. When you try your first one this week, start exactly that small. One page, one question, one save location. Get one win under your belt before you try to boil the ocean. Now the safety talk, and I want your full attention here, because I take this part as seriously as I take lockbox keys, and so should you. When Claude works in your browser, it's acting behind your logins, in your name. Your name is on everything it touches. So, rule of the road number 1, start on sites you trust. The MLS, Zillow, ShowingTime, the county, fine, those are your tools. A random link from a stranger's email, some site you've never heard of, no. Here's the honest reason why. Web pages can contain hidden text designed to trick an AI assistant into doing something you didn't ask for. It's rare, and there are real guardrails built in, but the guardrail that never fails is you choosing where it works. Same instinct you already have. You don't put your key in a door you don't trust. Rule of the road number 2, stay nearby the first few times. Watch it work. Not because it needs a babysitter, because watching is how you train your own judgment about what to hand it and what to keep. And here's what it will not do, on purpose. These are guardrails anthropic built in. They cannot be talked out of, and every one of them protects you. It will not type passwords, ever. When a login screen comes up, that moment is yours. It will not enter payment information, it will not buy anything, and it will not create accounts. It will not click through those prove you're not a robot puzzles. Those are yours too. And before anything consequential happens, submitting a form, sending a message, downloading a file, a separate safety check compares what it's about to do against what you actually asked for, and blocks anything that doesn't match. Think about what that adds up to. The picture is not a robot running loose in your accounts. The picture is an assistant that does the legwork, and then hands you the wheel at every moment that actually matters. You stay the agent. It stays the assistant. That's the deal, and it's enforced by the software, not by good intentions. One slide for the power users, and we have real ones in this office now, which is something I'm proud to be able to say. If you've graduated to running Claude Code sessions, and you know who you are, there's a better tool than the extension for repetitive portal work. Claude has its own browser built in. You press Ctrl+Shift+B and your screen splits. Claude's browser on one side, your conversation on the other. Now, it starts out signed into nothing. It is not your Chrome, and that's the feature, not the flaw. Because here's the part people miss. You sign into a site once, one time, ever, and it remembers from then on. So you spend 10 minutes setting it up, and from that day forward, pulling your Zillow reporting or working back office becomes something Claude does in ITS browser while your Chrome stays completely yours. You can be writing an email while it pulls numbers. No fighting over the mouse. If that sounded interesting rather than terrifying, come see me after class. A couple of your colleagues already work this way, and I'll get you started. And the third method, just so you've heard the name, computer use. This one's in research preview right now, meaning it's real, it works, and it's still being polished. Claude can operate regular computer programs, the whole screen, the actual Windows desktop, not just the web. And here's what surprises people. It is deliberately not a browser tool. Inside a web browser, computer use is limited to just looking, because the extension you learned today is the right tool for browser work, and the system knows it. Where computer use matters is the odd program that has no website and no connection at all, the old desktop software every industry keeps one copy of. For almost everyone in this room, today, this is a headline, not a homework. Know it exists. Know the toolbox is getting deeper every month. And move on. Which brings us to the actual homework, and it's one task, 15 minutes, and I mean that. This week, hand your browser one real job, from a real deal or a real lead. Not a test, not a toy, something you were genuinely going to grind through by hand this week anyway. Open the site, click the Claude icon, describe the task in plain English, the way you'd tell an assistant sitting next to you, and end the prompt with where to save the result, because that's rule 2, and it's already a habit, right? Then let it work. If it goes great, bring the story next week. I'm collecting them. If it goes sideways, bring that story, because the sideways ones teach this room more than the victories do, and nobody here is grading you. What I don't want is anybody polishing prompts at midnight trying to make it perfect. One page, one task, one save location, 15 minutes, and you're done. Let's land it. Your work lives behind your logins. It always has. The MLS, Zillow, the showings, the county, the paperwork. And as of this month, your assistant works there too, right beside you, behind those same logins, with you watching. 2 rules, and you already know them. If it has a connection, use the connection. If it only lives behind your login, open the side panel and do it there. And end every browser prompt with where to save the result. Do that, and here's what changes. The agents who build this habit are going to walk into listing appointments carrying research that took 5 minutes of asking instead of an hour of clicking. They're going to answer sellers' questions with the county record already open. Same tools you use today, plus an assistant inside them. That's the whole game. Go hand it your browser. Bring me the story. See you next week.